Welcome back. Now for your 5-day weather forecast, we go outside to Charlotte Anquetil.
Today started off with a little dusting of snow, but there's lots of sunshine out. The high will be -15 with the low at -23. We'll kick the weekend off right, with Friday warming up to -10 with the low of -19 with a few flurries. Saturday, the flurries will stay, but the temperatures will rise to -3. The low will dip down to -13. Sunday, the weekend will wrap up with flurry conditions staying at -7, easily dipping to -15 for the low. Monday, the week will start off with some sunshine and some possible clouds. It will be a high of -12 with the low only dipping a few degrees to -15. And that's your 5-day weather forecast. Now back to the studio.
Thanks, Charlotte. Turning now to national news, the Canadian dollar continues to take a beating. The loonie traded as low as 89.5 American during overnight trading. This put the dollar at its lowest level since the 2008 recession. Currently, the dollar is still sitting low, sitting at 89.6. This drop comes after the Bank of Canada announced it will be keeping its interest rates at current levels. Foreign investors are now questioning Canada's appeal. Though a low Canadian dollar is welcomed by companies in the manufacturing and exporting sectors, it is bad news for both Canadian consumers and businesses waiting to buy from the U.S.
A laptop containing the health information of 620 Albertans has been stolen. Alberta's Health Minister Fred Van Horn says he was told of the theft on Tuesday, even though it happened in September. The laptop belongs to MediCenter's Family Health Center care clinics and was stolen in Edmonton in late September. Edmonton police say they were informed of the theft on October 5th. Horn has asked Alberta's privacy commissioners to investigate why health officials have only just been informed of the theft. The decision is expected to be made later today.
Ice on the Great Lakes is posing a problem to shipping lanes. The Coast Guard Supervisor of Operations says the ice combined with wind from the north makes navigating very difficult. Ice covers 60% of the Great Lakes, according to the Great Lakes Environmental Research Laboratory. Even though they were led by an icebreaker, 3 ships were stranded by ice jams on the Detroit River on January 6th. Canadian and American Coast Guards will begin icebreaking operations on Saturday on Lake Michigan.
Prime Minister Stephen Harper is in Jordan today on day 5 of his tour in the Middle East. In a meeting with the country's King Abdullah II, Harper pledged over $100 million to help Jordan cope with the thousands of Syrian refugees in the country. Harper will also visit a Syrian refugee camp today. He says the money will help Jordan with their developmental challenges and the continuing threat of nearby Syria. Harper also spent time in Israel and the West Bank during this tour. Jordan is his last stop.
Indian police say 13 men have been arrested for sexually assaulting a woman on Thursday. The 20-year-old woman told police she lost count of how many men raped her. Police say the 13 men were ordered by village council to rape the woman after it was discovered she fell in love with a man from a different religion. The woman was originally told to pay a fine of $500, but when her family said they were too poor to pay, council ordered the gang rape. Police say the men were arrested because village councils are not legally binding in India.
And now with your sports news, here's Jake Cordapat.
The Humber Hawks were soaring last night as all 4 teams in action came away with victories. The men's volleyball team had a nail-biter, squeaking out the win in 5 sets over Sheridan. Meanwhile, the women were able to cruise to a 3-0 win to extend their unbeaten streak to 14 games. On the basketball court, the women improved to 11-2 with the win over Fanshawe, followed by a 14-point victory for the men over their division rivals. With an entire nation rooting her on, Jeannie Bouchard faced Lee Na in the semifinals at the Aussie Open. The 19-year-old Canadian showed some nerves in the first set, falling 6-2 to the more experienced Na. In the second set, Bouchard gained some momentum, but unfortunately came up just short, losing 6-4 and dropping the match in straight sets. Despite the loss, the strong showing down under moves Bouchard up to the number 19 spot in the world. DeMar DeRozan had a career performance last night in a Raptors win that saw a 21-point comeback. DeRozan threw down 40 points in the 93-85 home win over Dallas, putting the team back over 500 once again, while former Raptor Vince Carter did what he does best, throwing down a thunderous jam. The Raptors are next in Philly on Friday to take on the 76ers. The Toronto Maple Leafs look to keep the hot streak alive tonight in Dallas. The Leafs come into tonight's game with the Stars on a 6-game winning streak. Phil Kessel has 12 points in the last 6 games, while the Buds have outscored their opponents 25-15 over that stretch. Puck drop is set for 8 o'clock. And now time for your Olympic Watch. Canada's first medal hopeful Mark McMorris takes to the slopes today for X Games 17. McMorris is looking for the three-peat in slopestyle at the Aspen Games in preparation for February. Even X Games legend Shaun White isn't up to challenging the 19-year-old phenom, as White backed out of competition yesterday, choosing to rest for the Sochi Games. And Canada has chosen their Olympic flag bearer. In a news conference this morning, Hayley Wickenheiser was named to represent the country at the opening and closing ceremonies. The 2014 Games will be Wickenheiser's 5th Olympics, having won gold with the women's hockey team on 3 occasions. That's it for sports. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Jake. After the break, we'll get the latest in entertainment from Carissa Wilson.
Justin Bieber has been arrested and Bill Cosby could be making a comeback. All this and more in your entertainment news after the break.